Well,
I feel like you know more a little bit more about like the structure of the black household than I do, though.
why you say
I don't know. You seem to be more aware of the other little intricacies that I'm like
that?
unaware of.
That's only because like I do try to learn from everybody I'm around, especially like having the roommates that I've had and things like that. So I definitely try to look into those type of things. But welcome, guys. It's the Let's Be Real podcast featuring Dunk, aka the Real Kid,
Jared, aka Ragnarok.
and today we're gonna be talking about the destruction of the black family. Basically, going throughout the years of history in which we kind of had a peak of togetherness and everything, and how people and certain systems tended to bring that down. But this is not going to be one of those. This is not going to be one of those podcasts where it's like, oh, everything's to blame on everybody else but us type shit. No, I ain't for that. Everybody got their own mindset. Everybody got their own actions that they do, things like that. So we ain't gonna have no damn blaming game like that. But we will be talking about how certain things were put into place to set us up, um, and basically led us to what we are now, which is basically society thinking that the black man is lower than dirt. Um, our own women don't want us. Our families have this persona that we need to fit, or otherwise we're not good enough. Um, those kind of things. Those kind of things. So I just want to ask Jared, do you want to go from the beginning of this, or do you want to start with what happened last week at the Capitol?
I mean, the Capitol's more fun,
All right,
in my
start.
opinion.
It's cool. It's cool. Start off with the Capitol then, sir. Let me know your take on the Capitol shit.
Well, as we all know, some very unhappy people decided to protest at the Capitol during the certification of the votes, and it very quickly got out of hand. They got past the barriers slash were let in past the barriers. They broke into the Capitol building, uh, broke into officers and senators. Someone got shot and killed. A couple other people got killed during all the chaos. Um, and needless to say, they got a lot farther than they should have, since they were at the Capitol building
Mm.
during the certification of votes. But that's just my opinion. But generally, that's what happened.
Okay.
Now, some people were like, well, what did you expect to happen? Everything was fake. They cheated during the election. They're not going to take this sitting down. Um, but and there's also everyone's like, it wasn't Trump supporters or MAGA supporters. It was all Antifa. This is just a stage to like take over everything. And like my first and overall opinion is, I don't care if it's Antifa. I don't care if it's Trump supporters. I don't care who it is. They shouldn't have gotten that far. Nowhere near that far. The fact that they were literally just chilling in the offices, the fact that the National Guard took an hour and a half to get there and do anything is, one, disgraceful. Two, how do you think that looks to like everyone else around the world? They're like, America's not shit. Like, three, if I was someone like, wait, should we invade America? And I saw that shit, I'm like, maybe it's not gonna be that hard. I mean, shit, they couldn't stop them.
Okay, but maybe that's their plan though. Maybe they wanted to think that it's so easy to get in there. That way, people attempt it, and we've shut them down. Maybe a little
Nah, bro.
bit.
The overall people like reverse psychology. Nah, the overall rule is you want them to think, there's never a point in even trying because we just lose. But overall, it was not a good look. To keep
So
it simple.
definitely not a good look. Honestly, look. Let's be let's be fucking real. The fact that it happened, not surprising. The fact that it happened that bad is surprising. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even and this is me just looking at it outside perspective, not based on what you feel about Trump, not based on what you feel about this and that. Da, 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 da. He did call for everybody to be peaceful, right? He did call for everybody to be peaceful, right? Like, here's the thing though. about that. All right, you know they won't. You know they won't. Like, I don't think invasion of the Capitol was on their fucking mind, though. I don't think that was it. I think what happens with mob mentality is all it takes is just a few people, a few charismatic people to be in a crowd and force some shit to happen. Now, here's the thing I have when it comes to, adults and, common sense isn't common, right? Is they're acting shocked. They're acting like, oh my God, how am I in trouble for invading the Capitol? Like, even though when I was there, I was happy as shit. We was in people's offices tearing shit apart. Like, and even worse is like the people trying to compare it to the Black Lives Matter movement, the ones that turned violent, right? And saying, oh, but they weren't burning down buildings and shit like that. It's like, bro, I understand that too. I understand that too. They weren't burning down buildings. Buildings can be paid for through insurance, though, right? Public buildings can be paid for insurance. I'm not saying that's not bad though. You know what I'm saying? Because if you burn down some shit that I paid, you catching it. But when it comes to the government building, that's government property. That's not even like, oh, city government property. No, that's the federal government property, and you just like, you know what I'm saying? And I think the mindset was, see, y'all out here, protesting in the streets. We took it to the boss. It's like, all right, you ain't changed nothing but get them more in trouble. Like, like that shit didn't accomplish anything other than getting people arrested, right? At least and it's not me verifying violence. All right, I'm never somebody who's gonna always promote violence and shit like that. I always say violence is a thing if you're the one being attacked and you have to defend yourself. That's different, right? That's when I would resort to violence. All right, I'm not somebody that says like, yo, punch them in the face. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. But there was no reason to do what they did, right? There was no injustice. As you clearly see, there was no cheating in the election. They were just angry, right? It wasn't like, and I kind of hate comparing causes because you can't have an injustice of somebody getting killed for no reason, oftentimes showing that they didn't have nothing on them and everything like that from police to, damn, my president didn't win. Like, but that's based off different perspectives, bro. It's based off what people feel is more important. All right, that's them. But honestly, talking with some of the family outside the country too, everybody was laughing at us. Honestly, they're like, "You see how America do that shit, bro? Like, y'all wild, and y'all got COVID still. Like y'all what? That's the same thing my dad said. He was like, are you people out there still got COVID? Y'all sneeze upon each other and everything like that."
Oh my
And I'm like, damn, bro, like, why you coming at like us like that? Like, stay over there, you and your island. So honestly, it was uncalled for, as most of these are, but I'm not shocked. Actually, I actually did enjoy some of the people getting taken away on video. Sometimes, like, there was some videos going out. Some of them on no fly lists. So
The hashtag on Twitter.
yeah, bro, that no fly list is crazy. They're also being taken away and everything like that. So honestly, I think it was just a wake up call for the country too. That certain shit needs to change. I'm glad though, and to be fair, from a government standpoint, I'm glad some of those cops got fired. Not cops, officials. The people that let them in, basically. Some of them I think were let go, which is fucking good because that means you ain't do your job, or you lacked of doing your job. Because again, this is one of the most secure places, not in the country, but in the fucking world, right? Like, this is literally where your government officials all convene. Actually, they were all fucking there. Actually, you know what I'm saying? So it was not a good look for the officials that ran the place. I'm sorry you lost your pension when you got fired, man. I'm sorry that happened, but do your job, man. As Bill Belichick says, do your job, do your job. But one interesting thing, which will lead into the topic that we have here, is people said if that was BLM, or if that was majority of black people doing that, they would have been shot. They would have been shot point blank right there. As soon as they barged through or anything, I told you to get back. That's it. You wouldn't have 4 people dead. You'll probably have about, and I'm not even gonna like go crazy with the damn numbers. You probably have about 7 dead, possibly 16 injured, probably, right? And it would be justified because they were invading the capital, right? It was technically treason, right? But with that, before we go into the topic, I'm gonna have Jared say his last point on it. Go ahead, Jared.
Well, so honestly, with the outcome after everything kind of had settled down, people are like really surprised. It's like, what did you expect to happen after you invaded there? It's like one, they have cameras everywhere, so they're gonna see your face. 2, none of y'all wore masks. That might have helped if we're in the long run for them identifying you.
Yeah.
But shit. 3, how are you gonna break into the break in and then live stream it? That seems kind of dumb.
Wait, wait.
You were like, yo, we're gonna break the law.
Oh.
Well, let's give them every piece of ammunition, everything they would need to find me. Like, bro, nah. Like,
I didn't even know. I forgot they were live streaming that shit.
bro,
Oh,
it was
shit.
just not an intelligent move if you're gonna break the law to that level.
Oh.
2, was number 4. Oh, really? Y'all smeared shit on the walls? That's gross.
Hey, yo, what?
Like there was that popped up in a few articles that apparently it's like smeared shit on the walls and stuff. I don't know how true it is, but if it was really, you realize the senators don't have to deal with that, right? That's gonna be old Mr. Johnson or Miss Sally who's just trying to do their job and then they gotta clean shit off the walls. That's gross.
Hell no.
Ew.
Hell no.
Bro.
Yo, hell no. Fuck that. Fuck that.
apparently-
You are not doing that shit to my damn walls, bro. You ain't doing that. All right, shit. That's your punishment. You gotta clean that shit up, then go to jail, bro. Literally, that shit. Nah, bro. Fuck that.
But you got
So again, today's topic, we just wanted to give our takes about that. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the destruction of the black family, basically what messed up the structure of the family, and where it came from, where it somewhat started, how it's been throughout the years, etc., etc. Some people won't like what we have to say because then it puts the blame on them. Other people will agree with what we say because it actually fucking makes sense. So, Jared, you want to start off with the beginning times of the country or what?
Sure, we can start at the beginning.
Okay.
So, as you know, eventually, due to Lincoln and many disagreements between the North and the South, the slaves were freed. But as we all know, it was not all peaches and cream after the slaves were freed.
Mhm.
There's countless laws, countless disputes, countless just all-out fights that broke out. But one of the initial ones that you probably actually, I don't think they taught us this in school because, as you know, history books for us especially are very doctored.
Yeah.
Who you learn about in school? Dr. King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and George Washington Carver because he made peanut butter.
You barely even hear about fucking Malcolm X because originally they thought he was a radical. Shit, if anything, they view Malcolm X as the antithesis to Martin Luther King. Like, hey, here's Martin Luther King who did it right. Then there's Malcolm X. Him. Yeah, he was good though. That's how history books really had that shit. It's literally Malcolm X has a whole life, and basically for history books, it's his life technically, according to history books, started when he met with MLK. That was literally when they start mentioning that man. So serious. All right, go ahead.
But initially, one law that was established is called vagrancy laws. So basically, they made it a law that if you did not have a job, you could be arrested. And surprise, surprise, slaves who were just freed don't have a damn job. So that's one of the countless ways that they have just sort of chopped away at black families. The from there, we could go to Jim Crow, where it's like forced segregation between blacks and whites.
All right. Let me
Yeah, go
stop you
ahead.
there. So before we start going forward after slavery, one of the things that they did in the plantation to make
Oh,
sure
you
this
know,
to the slaves
wait, is this the dark place? Are we going there now?
is low key, somewhat,
All right,
somewhat.
all right.
So one of the biggest things of that is remember this is probably the foundation of the foundation when it comes to black families. It's knowing and struggling together and making sure you come together, everything like that. So before they sold off people's children and things like that, if you had one family on a plantation and you had the strongest slave there, you had the strongest slave, he had kids, their kids strong, and this is before they started breeding them, you know what I'm saying? What they would do to make sure that the rest of the slaves felt mediocre, and what they would do is take the strongest slave there.
Rated R alert, by the way.
Yeah. They would take the strongest slave there. And I'm not saying they're going to hit them. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything like that. What they would do is literally sodomize and rape this man. Right? Sometimes in front of the slaves. They would literally do that in front of the slaves. And that will discourage them. And it feel like they can't do shit. Because the strongest of us has now been treated like they ain't shit. They have just been immaculated in front of everybody. So what the basics things of that is, in order to actually start to destroy the foundation of the black family, you go after the foundation of the black family, which is or was around that time and so on and so forth, the black man. Right? Make him feel inferior, make him feel unwanted, right? And that foundation is gone, or it has soul, it's unstable, and that whole rape thing, right? They had rape farms too. They take their slaves, they bring them there, they be you know what I'm saying? And this was very huge in the Caribbean too. This is very huge in the Caribbean, which is why you will often see Caribbean folks not agree nor like homosexuality. People think it's the Bible. It's not the Bible. It's not the Bible. The Bible is a justified reason for it, right? That doesn't affect them personally. But man, when I started reading about that, shit, I felt bad. Not even felt bad. I felt hurt. And this is just personally because anytime I read something, you have the imagery in your head and shit like that. I'm here thinking like, yo, imagine these motherfuckers. Mind you, we got technology and shit. Like we have these motherfuckers in the woods, right? They're around sugar cane, all that shit. They ain't got no shoes on their feet. They barefoot, right? The cow manure right next to them and shit like that. And they getting sodomized by this man that they could probably squish. Right, they probably like 6 feet, 6'7" or some shit. The master's like 5'3", 5'10", something like that. But master got a gun and master got friends, right? So you can't do shit. You fear for your life. You can't do shit, bro. Imagine that. Imagine feeling that. You know what I'm saying? And in front of your family, bruh. Your son right there, your daughter right there, your wife right there, and you get sodomized in front of them. Like, imagine the talk you must have when that shit's over. Like, yo, that's the basis of it. You want to mess up the black family, black unity? You go after the black man.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to like not so like a different pasture. So, as you know, there was Jim Crow laws segregating between churches, schools, housing, jobs. One of the other ways that would destroy black family is, so for example, as you know, there's always the distinction. It's like if you go to school in the suburbs, your school is very likely hella nice. What? Oh shit.
What the fuck? You know how delete.
Easy. So I'm gonna take over for Jared before he goes into Jim Crow and shit like that. All So I'm gonna just hit you guys with some statistics in regards to, you know, how much we were improving as a black people as time went on and as we got our own freedom and everything like that. So I'm gonna read off a couple things actually that would either surprise people based off the time period they were in. So read off this right here. So in the 1890s, there were 4 public high schools in Washington D.C. One of them black, the M Street School slash Dunbar High School, and 3 white schools. In 1999, Dunbar averaged higher standardized test scores than students in 2 of the 3 white schools. From 1870 to 1955, Dunbar repeatedly equaled or exceeded performance on national standardized tests. That goes against the whole, black people having less of an education than, of course, Caucasian people. All right. And then I'm going to read this one from 1910 before Jared goes more into the Jim Crow laws. As late as 1910, more than 2/3 of the black population of Chicago lived in neighborhoods where most residents were white. So picture the hood. Whenever you picture the hood, you always think about all black people, basically. But in that one white friend who thinks, he's black. So you have all that, right? But basically what was happening is that you had majority of your population being neighbors with white people, right? But a majority of the neighborhood was white people. So you had people still living together and still being neighbors. And this is as late as 1910. Okay.
Oh, all right. So, where I was. So like once again, so generally, suburban schools, as I'm sure you know, like if you're in Philadelphia, you've probably been in Springfield Township or Erdenheim. Schools are hella nice, but inner city schools, public schools, generally you'll notice they're not as nice. If you ever go into public schools, like for me, since my mom was a school nurse, I've been in them all before plenty of times, and like I would help the teachers like clean up at the end of the year. And then you grab a book that they use to teach, and you'll notice like, hey, this show is like 6+ years old. They don't have a lot of them. They're generally outdated. But that's just one of the ways to like completely just kind of chop someone down. It's like make sure they get the worst of everything. Like it's really crazy because well, besides actually doing it that way, there's also it's like they'll just purposefully doctor books, so it's like it only focuses on certain points. Like once again, when we went to school, they taught you very basic, very very basic things about history, especially when it came to like slavery and stuff. They didn't go into all the nitty gritty details. It was like, hey, slavery's bad. These are the people that fought against it, and now we're here. But obviously, it wasn't that simple. And then there's just the the various laws and stuff that they would just pass to just kind of make it harder and harder. And my favorite arguing point is that I always see is for the Civil Rights Act when it finally got passed in 1964. I think it was.
Yep, 64.
1964. Like the argument point is, well, they passed civil rights, and then everything was like got better. And it's like, no, yo, just because they passed it a law doesn't mean shit. They still have to fight through so much crap. It's like, oh, well, now there can't be civil rights discrimination. No, there still was. In housing, jobs, everything. So it didn't just completely like go 180. It's like, now we're a progressive society. No, it was still a very racist, very biased society.
Just to put that in perspective why you said like that was still happening is picture this. Before the Civil Rights Act, you can have a whites only sign outside of your restaurant. If a black person still came in, you could deny them service, right? After the Civil Rights Act, you got rid of the sign, but you can still deny a black person service. Right? That was basically what happened. It was like you cannot discriminate publicly. That's the whole point. Right? We all know people are treated differently and shit like that, but there's a reason why after the Jim Crow laws, right? There's a reason why we actually started to build up ourselves as a family and everything like that. In 1950, 72% of all black men and 81% of all black women had been married. Every census from 1890 to 1950 showed that the black labor force participation rates were higher than those of whites. Right? Prior to the 1960s, the unemployment rate for black 16 to 17-year-olds was actually under 10%. right? And lastly, before 1960, the number of teenage pregnancy had been decreasing. So you had less pregnant teenagers out there. Both poverty and dependency were also on the decline, right? So no, you ain't depending on the government as much, right? And you were building your status and financially within the communities and everything like that. Everybody knows about Black Wall Street and Tulsa. Tulsa. And black income was rising in both absolute and relative terms to white income, right? So there wasn't much disparity between the income as we were slowly catching up to them, right? But here's where the nitty gritty comes from. As my last thing, in 1965, which is a year after Civil Rights Act, 76.4% of black children were born to married parents. Just a thing. So this is what happens. In comes the 1970s, right?
Off period.
Oh my God. When you think about the 70s, most people think, of course, disco, cocaine, drugs, all that shit, right? What people don't think about is the closing of factories, right? This was basically the main source of income for most black families is you had a factory in the community, right? You had a working factory. You go there, you get a pension, you get good pay. You can send your kids to college. You can go home. You get a car. Like all that shit. All that shit was from the factory, right? You were secured. They started closing down the factories. Then comes drugs, right? And I'm not talking cocaine. I'm talking crack. What is crack? Cheap cocaine. That's it. That's basically it. It's basically cheap cocaine. You had white people doing cocaine. You had black people doing crack, right?
It's powder versus crack cocaine.
Yeah.
That's the two distinct differences.
Like, come on, fam. And here's the thing though about that is with the factory shutting down, you of course then had a lot of black men with no job. Some of them had families to support. So inputs crack, and now crack had two ways: you either dealt it or you used it. Right? Times were hard. For those whose times was extremely hard, they can't find a job or nothing. They used it. For those who could find a job or find a source of the crack, you dealt it, right? But then you input the gangs as well with that crack epidemic, right? The Bloods and Crips, for example, were neighborhood gangs, right? In California, they were just neighborhood gangs, right? They didn't really have beef with each other. They didn't really hate each other, right? The only thing was, don't fuck with nobody from their neighborhood, and we won't fuck with nobody from your neighborhood. That's all it was. If we see each other, we cool, right? But if you beat up somebody from my neighborhood, I gotta beat up somebody from your neighborhood. That's all it was, right? Mutual respect. Until, as the gang members started to join more and more, they started to get greedy. They was like, yo, there's a shit going on about crack. We should sell it. So, you have these gang members coming in, selling crack to people who feel like they need a mental release of their current situation because they have no job. The kids are probably crying in an apartment with roaches and shit like that. For females, especially, some men, end up going to jail because of the war on drugs. Terry, you want to talk about that one?
So basically, that initially there was the whole law and order because you saw this huge discrepancy, the epidemic, the gang violence in the black community. So they're like, hey, we got to focus on law and order. And you have what was the damn law? Hold on, I got notes. 1 second. So this was more of like into the late 70s, early 80s, early 90s. So this is the whole Reagan Bush, anti-drugs. Woo, we got to fight this. So harsher mandatory minimums. Obviously, so it's like, one, why do people do drugs? You're sad, your life is terrible, drugs are an escape, that's why you do drugs, that's it. And then it's like, all right, so here's what's going to happen. We're not going to help you, but we are going to put you in prison for longer. Okay, you serve your 5 years. at minimum, because that's a mandatory minimum. So, they could say 5, 10, 20 years, depending on how they were feeling. And they weren't lenient. So don't worry about that. So you finally get out of prison, you serve your time, and you're like, all right, I learned my lesson. I'm going to get a job. And as you all know, if you have that lovely mark on your record, jobs are even less likely to hire you. So then what happens? You're like, well, shit, my life's still trash. I can't get a job. I'm just going to go back to drugs. And then when you get repeat offenders, you get an endless cycle. There's no way for people to get out of it. And then slowly over time, you get this huge gap building up where families are being destroyed. And then years later, people are like, well, damn, I don't know what happened. Why they all messed up? We didn't do anything. And it's like, oh, yeah, you did. Now, obviously, there's the whole part where there's like, you can choose to do drugs. Obviously, you don't have to do drugs. Shit. Times were hard. People were desperate. They're going to do what they're going to do. And currently, as you notice, we have this massive discrepancy in our prison system, even to this day, where there's a disproportionate amount of African Americans versus everyone else. And that's why there's always constant arguments how to amend / adjust the justice system to make it better. There's also the constant arguments. Actually, there's the blatant point that people always point out with, as you all know, the opioid epidemic that we have right now. People are like, everyone's like, oh, no, they're not bad people. They just need help. They need rehabilitation. They need support so they can get back on their feet. And then we're like, hey, what the hell? We didn't get that. Y'all just threw us in prison.
So, just to input this, first I'm gonna counter Jared. I really agree with him, but I'm gonna counter it in this way. With the whole, we go back to drugs and things like that, and when we have nothing, especially for a good chunk of people out there, they're gonna be like, so what about those people who immigrated here with nothing, and they were able to build a life? Yeah. but that's besides the point. But Jared is correct. That's how it goes. Now, the thing about that is, this is when you start to see the true separation between black males and black females, aka the destruction of the black family. So you have more black males in jail now, right? You have more black males in jail. You have, sorry, Kevin, I can't allow that. Then you have, moms having single parents out there, basically. And most of them are moms now at this point. Unless the mom was a crackhead. So now you have single dads now, right? Who couldn't make things work and things like that. So they had to sell drugs. So now you start to see Mr. Government himself say, hey, black women, you don't need that guy anymore. I'll give you $2,000 a kid if he's not in the picture.
That law. I remember that shit.
Mm-hmm. That welfare shit, that shit really real. Because look. The issue with it then came the financial dependency on the government, right? They basically said, get rid of the black man. If the father is not in the picture, we will be the father, basically, right? But your child will not have the guidance of a man or a positive role model. And we like that shit because then they end up in jail like his father did, right? That was the trap right there. It's get black women to not depend on the black man anymore, no matter if he was good or bad, right? This is where you start to see the rise in single parenthood, right? It's not anybody's fault. It's not anybody's fault in regards to individual. It was a group issue. The government gave more money to single parents. The mom, if she didn't have a choice, right? Say it was just like a straight up deadbeat dad, understandable, you accept it. But if you did have a choice, right, you set up your child for failure because you won the financial game. If the dad did have a choice and dad was in the picture and the mom's like trying to make sure he's out the picture, it's the same thing. If the dad's not in the picture, he's a deadbeat. That's already the case there, right? What you gotta make sure to realize here is that this is when true independency was a thing. All right. The biggest part for me that came out of this was the fact that this is when I started to see women, and this is not all women, Okay, I gotta keep fucking saying that because some of y'all think like I'm speaking like all women and shit. This is when you see women say, "My son don't need no father," or "I'm my father's son." Oh, I mean, I'm my son's father or some shit like that. You start to play both roles. The issue with that, is you're not raising, for example, your son to be a great man. You're raising him to be your version of a great man, right? And because it's your version, you have extreme bias towards it, right? You want him to be a strong, independent man who doesn't show, like, this is where the emotion things start coming in. He's not supposed to show his emotions out there because people think he's weak or anything like that. So you get a strong, independent man who doesn't show his emotions, right? Doesn't show his emotions. He has a lot of repressed things in his mind and body. Ends up lashing out somehow, some way, right? Then you also give him a standard of women. He will always chase or go after women that remind him of his mother, depending on the situation at home. If his mother wasn't good to him, not a good mother, but good to him, right? That's the standard. Now he's going after his moms. And if you were a horrible woman, but you were good to him, but you were a horrible woman, he's more prone to go after a horrible woman that reminds him of you, right? The whole point of the father figure is to show him how to be a proper man, right? What was it? Olden times, the mom would raise the child, and then the dad would come and get the child from the mom. Right? I think that's how the saying goes. Like, as the child grows up, the dad takes him out, puts him into the world, right? Teaches him how to be a man, teaches him how to fish, teaching him how to do all this and that, and then you get the rise to toxic masculinity as if that's a fucking thing. Look, you can't cancel me. I don't got my own show. All right, toxic masculinity isn't a fucking thing, right? What y'all call toxic masculinity, we just call being an asshole. Right? It's not a masculine thing. It's just being an asshole, right? If you, for example, Jared, decided, hey, I'm gonna tell Duncan about Ashley, Annie, all these women that I slept with, right? And then you talk about, like, you just going ham, not even really respecting them and shit like that. I'm gonna be like, this man's an asshole, but that's my boy, right? He's an asshole. That's my boy. I'm not looking at it as that's masculine, right? That's an asshole. Oh, boys can't cry. You an asshole, cause shit. You can't tell me what to fucking do when it comes to my emotion, right? Like, you an asshole. Donald Trump talking about touching men in the mirror. You know what I mean? That's just an asshole. That's not toxic masculinity. Like. Yes, I would, like a grizzly bear. But no bullshit. But this is when you start to see the rise in independence. Not even independence. I'm not even gonna see independence because you have a dependency on the government. This is when you start to see the destruction of the black family, and it goes right back to slave days. You want to destroy the black family? Make sure the black man is not needed. Right? Today you have more independent black women, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest fucking things ever. Right? I see single moms going out there and making sure their kid is fine. Right? But they always, here's the thing, and they some of them do it subconsciously. They make sure the kid still has a positive male role model around them. Could be the uncle, could be the church pastor, right? It could be your cousin, a random cousin, things like that. Like me, I had to grow up here with my grandfather. So my grandfather was my positive role model in regards to manhood, right? And then I had uncles and stuff teach me how it is to be a man and things like that. And then my little cousin, right? His figure ended up, something happened in life, if you get what I'm saying. His figure ended up not there anymore. So I had to be the figure, right? And you don't acknowledge that you're the figure. You're just the figure. It's the same as being a role model. You're not trying to be like, oh, I'm the role model. This is you. You yourself is who they're looking up to. So you yourself, you're not going to think about it that way. But you will think, I need to be a positive influence on this person, right? the one thing that pisses me off is and then even worse is you go on TikTok, you go on Facebook, you go on Instagram, you go on all that stuff, All you see black men don't appreciate black women. Yet any statistic will show you otherwise. For the country, not even just the fucking world, the country alone, more than I'm not even gonna say more than 50, more than 75% of black men date black women. Right? If you go based on population, you'll see how fucking big that number is. Right? But if 2% decide they don't like black women, they tend to generalize that and say black men ain't shit. They coons. They just want these white women. Even though the 2% is all you see, you're treating it as it's 98. And that's the issue. That's one of the biggest issues we have now. Right? If a black man prefers something, like me, I prefer dating black women. But here's the difference between preference and only dating something. Preference just means I prefer it. Right? That's just it. I see it, I like it. But I also like that, and I also like that, and I also like that. But I see that. If that comes to me, I'm going to say yes. If these other ones come to me before that one come to me, I'm going to say yes. Right? Like that's all preference is. It's like I prefer to get that, but I also like that. You know what I'm saying? Your favorite pizza, I think my favorite pizza is pepperoni or bacon. Right? I prefer that. Right? That doesn't mean I'm not going to get cheese. That doesn't mean I'm going to get buffalo chicken. I'm hungry. I'm not going to get buffalo chicken. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get... Whoever put pineapples on pizza, you deserve to be crucified. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get jalapeno peppers. Like all that shit. Right? That doesn't mean I'm not going to get them. It just means if that first option comes to me, I am more prone to say yes. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever had an experience, Jared, where people's preference tended to be a negative type of thing?
I mean, I don't really think at that point it would be negative. I think it'd be just more of like someone's like I've never seen like an in between. Like either it's like, oh, I prefer these types, but I don't mind everything else, versus someone's like, oh, I don't date this. Like I've only seen one or the other. I haven't seen like a sort of middle ground, if that makes sense. Like I guess a negative. Well, no, that'd still be preference. So if you say I prefer to date an Asian, right? Would that be considered like a negative preference, or is it just, hey, this person just kind of likes Asians?
That's true. Fucking what was it? The biggest thing for me though, when it comes to overall the picture and where we're heading as a direction, I feel like at this point something bad has to happen to us in order for people to appreciate us. Right? That's life in general is the fact that you need, right? You need to acknowledge people for being there right there, right? The black man is, and people try to say they're not. We are the most attacked people in the world, if not the United States. Cause I don't know the world's statistics, right? But you know what I'm saying? Like people, we are the most attacked. Now, that doesn't mean I'm personally being attacked right now. That doesn't mean that shit. It doesn't. Right? I've experienced racism. That doesn't mean everybody else does. Right? So I can't generally speak. Generally. You see what I'm saying? But if the majority of statistics says otherwise, right, then you can speak generally. Because generally is oftentimes viewed as the majority. Right? So my biggest thing when it comes to, the foundation of the black family is in order for us to actually fix that, we can't be like, oh, this thing that everybody else is doing is affecting us. No, we gotta look at ourselves and fix ourselves first, right? If you're more worried about your neighbor's house and not your own, right? You mad because your neighbor's house look pretty, right? Because they making their shit look pretty and all, and then you looking at your house, you're like, damn, my house ugly. But you instead of fixing your house, you more occupied with your neighbor house, and you're thinking they shouldn't let that shit be as pretty as it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like that's wild to me because you're not focused on yourself. You're focused on everybody else. Right? When we focused on ourselves, we had Tulsa, right? We had Black Wall Street, right? We had less pregnancies by teenagers, right? We had more married couples. We had financial stability. We had all those things. But then when we started to look at everybody, what everybody else is doing, then we was like, damn, why the fuck can I do that, right? Even though you can. You have the power to do it. You're just not choosing to because you're preoccupied looking at them, right? This to shout out to all my Asians out there. Shout out to all my Asians. There's a Chinatown in every fucking city.
And there's a reason, a good damn reason.
Yo, go ahead. No, you go ahead, cause
I forget the article that I read, but it was someone. They ended up asking her like, "How do you guys do it?" So essentially, what they do is you'll get like, say, like 5 families together. Everyone will pull their money and say, "Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to establish a store for family number 1." They build it up, they get that established. After they're established, hey, family number 2, it is now your turn. Everyone pours their assets in. Family number 2 is now set up. Then they take their assets, pull it for family number 3, and the cycle continues over and over, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a school, whether it's whatever. And slowly branches out, and then that's why every city has literally Chinatown that has schools, it has grocery stores, it has dry cleaners, it has mechanic shops. They have everything because they constantly pull the resources into their own people, build each other up, and they establish someone else, and they're constantly throwing out new branches. We lost that shit a while ago, and it's not good.
Legit, we literally lost Tulsa, and everybody thought it was the end because that was our peak, like in regards to our black community. That was the peak, right? We lost Tulsa, and everybody was thinking we can't do that shit again. Or what's the point if they're gonna destroy it? That's what stopped us. It was the fear, right? Fucking, look. How many black billionaires are there? Probably
Oprah, and
there's at least 20. I'm saying black billionaires. There's at least. I'm gonna say at least 20. And that's lowball. That's lowball, right? Because especially there's a lot in the music industry too.
True.
So imagine that. You know how long it takes to? I forgot what was it. It takes, I think they say like 6 months to count to 1 million or something like that. But then it takes was it like 60, 70 years to count to 1 billion or something like that? It's something like that. Like 1 billion's a big fucking number, right? And you mean to tell me, and this is why it's cringeworthy. All these people out there got the money. And they don't donate to their own communities. They don't. Right? If they do, it's oftentimes as a tax write-off. It's not the goodness of their heart or anything like that. Right? And it goes to an organization that doesn't actually commit the money to that organization's cause. Right? I think like Red Cross takes a good chunk of whatever they get donated or something like that. I believe that's one of them. Y'all could fact check me on that because I'm not truly sure. But every time I hear about like a hurricane relief and they say sending money, they say avoid sending it to Red Cross because you ain't gonna see even half the money, right? So forget that part. But the amount of money that we have amassed over the centuries, just the last 30 years. Let me just put the last 30 years that we've had. Like for example, you have people like Tyler Perry, whose money. Right? He just became a billionaire. His money goes into giving Vine creators, like Vine and black social media creators, right, on the up and up, giving them a chance, paying them money to be in his movies and things like that, right? And they'd be good fucking actors. 13, okay. So I was highballing it. 13. Thank you for the fact check. So 13 of 2,150. God damn, that's a high number. So 13 out of the 2,153 are billionaires. Let's just put out 13, right? Let me put up my calculator real quick, aka my phone, right? So let's say, and it's a billion, right? So this probably won't even hurt them. So let's say each one, so it's 13. Let's say each one donates 5 million. That's it, 5 million. 5 million to whoever's cause, right? That's 65 million, right? You could donate 65 million to your local neighborhoods you grew up in, and things like that, but you don't, right? Neighborhoods that looked out for you while you was growing up, you don't donate to them. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy, but of course, we out here looking for, we're always taught to look out for ourselves. Actually, that's also a big thing too, is that when we grow up, especially for us as a community, we are taught from a young age to only look out for yourself. Do not share, right? Anything that's yours is yours, right? So keep your business off the street. Stay to yourself. Don't let nobody touch your toys. That type of shit. And you're that's input in your head the entire time. You know what I'm saying? You're from, I would say, age 4 when you start actually knowing what your toys do. From age 4 to about 16, you're told, stay to yourself, look out only for you. By the time you turn 18, they're like, look out for your community, make sure you help out one another, things like that. So you want me to erase everything else I just fucking learned? Everything else I just fucking learned to look out for you. So why didn't you have me share stuff when I was a kid? But now you want me to share everything when I'm an adult. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because adults are just mature kids. End of the fucking day. Right? We're just experienced kids. Right? Kids is kids. They ain't experienced shit. So they can be carefree. You know? But adults, we've been through a lot. We know what's going on, things like that. And we're able to make a conscious decision. Shit. Kids are as smart as us. Right? We do dumb shit knowing the consequence. They don't know the consequence and will still avoid doing dumb shit. Right? You don't have to tell a kid, don't jump off the cliff. They're going to fucking know not to jump off the cliff. But here we are making cliff diving a sport or some shit. Like you think a kid's going to fucking do that? Tell a kid, don't jump out of a plane. You might die. We made skydiving. Right? Right? Don't go too fast when you're running. We made speed racing. We literally made shit that common sense goes against. You know what I'm saying? Bungee jumping is a thing. Bungee jump is a thing. If you were to tell me I'm about to jump off of the Grand Canyon and the only thing between death, right, and life, the only thing preventing me from seeing Jesus himself, at that point, it's fucking suicide, basically. So I'm about to see damn Satan because I killed myself, right? That's a religion thing. Is a slingshot. It's an amplified slingshot, basically.
Technically, that wouldn't be suicide, though.
I made the conscious choice, and I accepted death. You know why? Because they have you sign some shit.
No. That's just so you can't sue them. But I mean, you wouldn't because you'd be dead.
You'll be dead. Exactly. Bungee jumping is rad. Don't be hating. Nah. Your name is Judgment. Shut your ass up. But nah, I'm playing. Look, but like I said, a kid will see that. They'll say, "Oh, that's cool. I'm not going on it though." You know what I'm saying? Kids are smarter than we give them credit for. They're just inexperienced. But for real, that's we're not gonna get anywhere as a black family in our structure as a black family. We're not gonna go back to normal in regards to a stable foundation, in general speaking, right? Because of course there are people who are actually able to do it, right? You have some people able to come together, build a foundation together, and when you look at them, they have a nice house, they have 1 to 2 to 5 kids. I don't care, they be fucking, and literally they'll be fine, and they love themselves, they love each other. I don't even think they looked at each other and said, that's another black person, I gotta go get them. Like, no, that was because of who they are. They didn't detest one another. They didn't be like, you probably don't appreciate me for what I look like. You know what I mean? It's none of that. It's literally none of that, bro. Like, and that shit pisses me off sometimes when I see that happening. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm one of those people where I see a girl, let's say on TikTok, for example. I'll be scrolling through TikTok just like, well, right now all you see is what's that shit called? Bust It or some shit like that. Some girls dropping or some shit. Yeah, whatever. There's some shit. It's a trend. But all I would see, like every third video is, see, black men don't even like us. You know, and black men and shit. You know what I mean? And then, now I gotta school you, right? So I'll be leaving a comment like just busting out all this shit, right? And the first thing they say, and no bullshit, this is the first thing they say is, but that's not all black women though. So I'm like, okay. If it's not all black women though, why do you say all black men? That's being a hypocrite right there. You're saying not all black women do this, but then you're putting your actions of a few black men on the majority. Like I said, the government did their job since slave days, is make sure the black man is underappreciated. And that's how you destroy the family.
But we can obviously reestablish ourselves. Like, plenty of NBA players do stuff for the community. LeBron James, great example. Literally built a school that sends them to college.
Yep.
Great investment into your own community. And then with content creators, like, you probably know who they are. Like, King Vader has the same crew with him in all of his videos. He brings them up with him. Bring up your homies, establish them, set everybody up for success. Caleb City. A lot of the like Viners that are really well established now did that. They brought all their homies up with them, which is what you're supposed to do.
I think so too. But of course we think that helping each other, you know, it's one of the biggest things on social media actually right now, as it's been for years, is don't share your good news and things like that because people could send hateful energy. What the fuck does, like, even if you believe in karma, Kevin, I'll talk. We could talk on the court after, because I'm streaming after this actually, on a separate thing. One of the biggest things is you can't help out nobody because for some reason you think they'll come after you, or you don't want to see them be more successful than you are. Don't put out any achievements or anything you have because people send hateful energy. If you believe in karma or anything of that sort, you get what you put out, right? So if somebody's sending hateful energy your way, they're gonna get it, not you. So I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty fucking stupid to think like, oh, their bad energy is gonna mess up my good energy. No, do your thing. God damn it, do your fucking thing. But for real is that I think right now we are crabs in a barrel. As of right now, not all time, not anything, but we're crabs in a barrel because we preach that we want to see each other succeed, and we do nothing about it. Right? Not even the little things. For example, if you guys have friends out there, right? Say your friend has a clothing line, say your friend owns some type of service and things like that. You don't have to buy from that service, but you can share the shit out their stuff. It's one click, right? I see so many people on my page, by the way, right? They'll have a clothing line or something, and I'll share that shit. I'm like it's right there, click, share, right? But some of them will have other friends that would, have clothing lines, and I don't see one lick of a share. So I'm like, are you just trying to make sure they don't steal your customers? Is that what it is? Are you just trying to make sure that they can't be more successful than you? Because that's crabs in a barrel, right? You're pulling down a crab that's trying to break out. Why? Because you either think it's going to take you out with you, or you're like, if I can't leave, you can't leave. Yeah.
If you don't know where that saying is from, it's literally if you fill a barrel full of crabs and one crab starts to climb out, it gonna grab his leg and yank him back down. Why do they do it? I don't know. They little assholes, but that's where that saying comes from.
Yeah, I cook crab probably like twice a month, right? That's literally how it goes. Literally how it goes.
No idea why. It's so random.
You pick them up. One crab is hanging onto the other crab's leg and stuff, and it's like not letting go. And by the way, tell you from my grandfather's own pain, the crabs do not let go. That man, look, my Gramps is 80 years old, right? But he handles crabs like a monster. He look at them and toss them in the pot, right? One crab got smart and was like, "I'm gonna wait for you to grab me," right? As he grabbed it, that crab looked at him and said, "Hey, yaga," and that shit got him like this, right? So in my head, I'm like, "Yo, Gramps is fine." Like, I'm next to him when this is happening. He's like, "Gramps is fine," right? He's like, "Get off me, get off me!" I'm like looking at the crab like it's just a crab. Like the claw's like this big, right? Like what the fuck? And the claw's not even sharp. It was just like the round ones, like the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Until I myself, a grown man, was trying to pry the crab's claw off, and that shit was not letting go. I was like, look, I literally took my fingers, right, put in between, and did this, and that shit was not moving, right? I had to get a fucking spoon and put it in between the claw, and like use a lever type function because them claws don't let go. They don't, and that man was bleeding from a bludgy. I said bludgy like it's Harry Potter. Bludger. Bludger. But basically, the crab was just like able to pierce his skin and everything like that. But that just goes into the effect that crabs, once they hook onto you, they're not letting go, and that's how it is here. You guys preach as a community. You preach about black success. You preach about wanting everybody to succeed around you. But when it comes time to listen to your boys' mixtape, and some of them be trash, trust me, I know. Sharing their stuff online, mind you, it takes less than 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff, you don't do it, right? So what's your excuse? You can't say it's not convenient because it's literally right there in front of you. The black community and the black family, we could fix each other. We have to actually try to fucking do it. That's all it is. If we try, if we even put 50% of the effort, we will see a whole bunch of fucking change, bro. I kid you not. But we don't. Because we're trying to look out for ourselves first. All I'm saying.
I mean, what's the rule? If you can help someone, help them.
Basically.
Or that's what it's supposed to be. That's
how it should be. But yeah, we're getting a little bit over the time, so we're going to have to say peace to y'all now. I'm going to be in about 5 minutes going to stream League of Legends. And again, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is a shout out. This is my custom jerseys from No Name Nerd. Get you one. The link is down low in the bio. Basically, it's just to help to support the stream. You got the custom. Get your name on the back. Like there you go. That's my name right there, Malone. But yeah, no, I appreciate everybody for coming through. I appreciate John. I appreciate Kevin. I appreciate Judge. Appreciate Trey. Damn, I'm just saying. I appreciate Zero. God damn, everybody. God, shit. There's a lot of y'all. I appreciate y'all. And there's a suggestion box on the Twitch now. So if you guys want to make a suggestion about what we could talk about and give us enough time to do our research and everything like that, you're welcome. So with that, guys, we wish you nothing but
Merry Christmas.
You a damn fool. We wish listen, wish you nothing but the best. All right, have a great fucking day. And if you ever want to watch it, just watch on the VOD or YouTube. We appreciate everybody for coming by. Peace.